Welcome back. We here.
What it do?
We here. It's BOXN1. I'm Ralph, right? And I'm here with my lovely co-host,
Elise
Elise.
Clyburn, what's up?
What's good? What is
Ready
good?
to get at it? Ready to talk more NBA?
Yeah, we're gonna skip the formalities and get straight to the gusto. I mean, as you can see, the title. We're here to speak about the Central Division. If you want to know about how we feel about all the other parts of the divisions and the conferences, just check out some of our videos, past, present, and future. Um,
Yes.
we've talked about things years in advance. But hey, we here now. That's all that
That's normally
matters.
how it goes. That's
We
normally
let
how it goes.
we left y'all on red like Steve, but we here now. No blues, just
No
clues.
blues, all clues. All right, where are we beginning on this
let's
one, Ralph?
let's dive in. We're gonna talk about the Central Division. We've talked about this. This is both of our least favorite division in
Oh
the
yeah,
Eastern
easy,
Conference,
easily.
possibly in the whole league. This is the one division, like maybe a two, maybe a one playoff team
I could
division.
say one, a possible two, and that possible two had a decent year last year.
I'm leaning heavy on two. I'm
Two
le-
would be good.
I'm leaning heavy on two, which when we get to the East, when we get to our discussion on actual, breaking down the Eastern Conference, our top teams, that's going to be a discussion that we'll have. So let's start with the let's start with the plankton of this
The bottom
division.
of the bottom.
Yes, let's start with the plankton of this division. When the team that had
Okay.
the number one pick. Let's start with Detroit.
Detroit basketball.
They might have top 5 young core in the league right now.
I'm looking at it.
If not, they're on the outside of that 5, but they're definitely within the top range. When you look at, they drafted extremely well last year. A lot of those rookies last year showed out, had really,
Yeah, I
really good
mean,
years.
if Killian doesn't get injured, he's able to develop a little further.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I think that right there was a good pickup. You have Sadiq Bey, which is, I'm going to say this all the time, another guard that maybe the Magic should have drafted because he can space the floor. If you're confident in who you have, we're not talking about them right
No,
now,
nope.
but no, Sadiq Bey. I mean, solid small forward who can play the two, big size, good hands, good body, can space. I mean, it was a good pickup. This is a team that will probably need another 3 years,
Mm-hmm. The type of
maybe more.
players that they're bringing in the last 2 years, I'm big on coaching,
Mm-hmm.
right? Their strong bread and butter right now is their guard position,
Yeah,
right?
they have solid
And
guards.
and it's good to have guards. Like
Mm-hmm.
we talked recently, where this it's probably the greatest that the position has been, the point guard position, not shooting guard. Like we've had times where there's the point guards in the '90s were vicious, but there's and then the shooting guards since the '90s have been on their own astronomical level. So when you think about the
Yeah,
guards and you kind of can merge these positions together, it's
I say that
interesting.
all the time.
Because
Yeah.
Killian, I liked. I mean, me and you talked. I know you were infatuated with Killian before last year's draft.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the injuries came, but he's still young. He's played professionally before.
He's
So
been playing professionally for since I think he was 14.
yeah,
Like
so
he's been a professional.
I think it was more so, he was playing with Derrick Rose. They didn't give him the keys. Then,
Yeah.
they drafted Isaiah Stewart too, who,
Mm-hmm.
in the early 2000s, late 90s, he's a lottery pick,
Oh yeah,
right?
for
He's
sure. I
he's
mean,
an
poor
undersized
kid,
5. He's an
poor kid.
undersized
Yeah.
5. So what do you do with an undersized 5? And
Um.
and then you got so when you look at there, like I said, I'm big on coaching. They bring in Tim Hardaway, senior. They bring in Tim Hardaway Sr. to work with Killian, and we didn't even mention Cade, the number one pick in the draft. So I
I
love
like
their young
Killian
core.
Hayes. I like Killian Hayes. What I like about him, and you'll hear me say this a lot, this kid likes playing defense. He likes being a pest. So he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be fine. He sets up. He playmates a lot. He doesn't necessarily look the score, but he sets up his teammates well. You have Cade. It's gonna be interesting, Cade, just because during not preseason, but during the summer league, didn't really see too much of him. And what we did see, I wasn't like overly impressed. I'm like, oh, he's gonna be solid, right? Especially with all the hype that he came in here with. I think the acquisition of Jeremy Grant wasn't bad. He did better than I thought he was gonna do. I thought like he had a decent year next to a potential MVP, which the next season,
Does
the
get MVP.
superstar he was next to becomes MVP. But like I thought Jimmy Grant addition was pretty good. They're the plankton. There's not much to say. It's gonna be another rough year, but we're gonna see how their coaching staff can develop Hayes, Cade, and Isaiah Stewart.
And they brought in Luka. Like I'm gonna be honest, like this is what I'm saying with them is it's not about talent at this stage as much as it's about what they can do. And they're bringing in guys that have a specific type of attitude. That's why they got rid of what's his face. They're, the guy they drafted 3 years ago that was supposed to
from
be
France.
Yeah, that was supposed to be baby Pascal. And now look at that. They trade him for nothing. So
he's gonna be out the league in a season or two.
I mean, we'll see. Who knows? He might wake up. But my thing is, they're starting to make changes out there. So, that's good for them. There's not much to say when you're at the bottom of the ocean, unless you go deeper. We're gonna stay at the bottom and let's talk in Cavs. Okay. I mean, before
I personally like this team.
After you looked at the roster, yes, I get it.
Yeah, like I personally like this team. I think this past year, they're moving. They're out of the era. They're finally out of the LeBron era. They're trying to get rid of the last LeBron era person on the team. They're trying the hardest, and he ain't going nowhere because no one wants him. Kevin Love.
It's not that nobody wants him. He doesn't want to leave
Cleveland. Not at that price tag, and also not at that price tag. No. He wants all his buckets.
They could have gave him that in a buyout. So it's not even that. I think he genuinely likes Cleveland. He wants to actually be in Cleveland. His role in Cleveland is going to change.
It's really going to change. They have a pretty good young team. Like, and we're going to keep saying this. This is a theme with the NBA. A lot of young, talented players. You have Darius Garland, Sexton. There's rumors that one of the two.
Sexton got to go.
There's rumors that one or two might get to go. You have Osman on the bench who isn't bad. You have Rubio. I mean,
and that's a sign that
point guard.
Rubio is a sign that Kevin Love ain't going nowhere. They went out and got him. I mean,
they came in the league together, if I'm not mistaken. If not together,
they both in Minnesota together though.
They're both in Minnesota. You have the Lowry marketing pickup. That was shocking to me, but at the same time, it's not a bad pickup for them. It's not a bad pickup for them. You have Okoro, really good,
great defensively,
really good job.
If he could start hitting some shots, I mean, he could.
You have Evan Mobley, who might be the best pick, the draft pick in this draft. Might. You have Jared Allen. Jared Allen got that check.
Yeah, he got money. He got money.
But Jared Allen is not bad. Like, I think this team for a while, this used to be, I would say, similar to the Magic or similar to how the Kings used to be. Go there. This is the trash. This is where you're 2 steps almost out the league. They have solid NBA players. Young guys are going to be solid NBA players on this team now.
So, I mean, we've talked about this. If you didn't hear me say it, I'm going to say it again. Like, the 75th year is probably the most excited I've been about basketball in total.
Yeah.
Because between youth and veterans, the new stars and the old stars, we have a great variety of it. And it's all throughout the league. youth and vets aside, right? So coaching is almost A plus all around the board for potential coaching. A lot of things come down to management. Talking the Cavs, though, I don't know what management is doing. They're either stockpiling or they don't know what direction they actually want to go in at this moment. Yes, you draft Evan Mobley, good pickup. But though you draft Evan Mobley, you then stack your deck, and yeah, you can't trade Kevin Love. But what do? You sign Larry Marketing for a sign and trade, right?
I made the face when I said, "Oh, it doesn't really make sense."
No,
I get it. He's solid. He didn't have a good season last year
but
with Chicago, but he's a solid player.
you just paid Jared Allen.
It's weird.
So
it's weird.
So my question is, how does Evan Mobley play?
You just paid Jared Allen, and then you pick up Evan Mobley.
And no, you draft Evan Mobley first. You pay Jared Allen after you traded for him. So you pay Jared Allen now. You're paying Kevin Love at least for another 2, maybe 3 seasons, right? And on the back end, you do a sign and trade where now you're paying Larry Marketing. So here's what I said.
Weird.
So here's what I said, because they still haven't decided what they're going to do with Colin Sexton. You cannot play Colin Sexton and Darius Garland together. Darius Garland, to me, needs to be the point guard for this team. I think great things will happen when he fully has the keys. Okoro, I like him defensively. I think he's going to slide into the 2 once they do trade Colin Sexton.
I'm not surprised by that.
The conversation that I had just today with a player and I was like, man, I don't know what Cleveland's doing. I said, unless a trade is going to be made, I think by, let's say, trade deadline, once Larry Marketing could be traded, I think there's a trade where he's going to end up in Dallas. I think it's already been discussed. Him and Colin Sexton are going to end up traded before the trade deadline.
I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. I mean, those two right now, they kind of, especially Lowry, doesn't really fit this team. Sexton's kind of holding back. There's a lot more that Garland and Okoro could do. Mm-hmm. I'm not super out. Like I said, I'm excited about this team. I'm not super excited. Like I'm not going to be watching all of their NBA League Pass games, but I think they have some younger guards. They have definitely some younger talent that, they're going to be solid NBA players. We're going to be saying these names for a couple more seasons, So, I mean, I think they're finally getting out of that LeBron James shadow.
But that's where you sign a guy like Rubio. Now you have to make this decision. What direction are you going to go in? Because you're signing Jared Allen, right? Mm-hmm. But he's not featured on offense. He's not the feature offense. He's defensive. Mm-hmm. Like that's your defensive catalyst, right? So even if they're marrying, say, the Jazz, he's your Rudy Gobert. You don't have a Mitchell, but you have a Conley, right?
Yeah.
Can Sexton be a Mitchell? Yes, but Sexton's issue for me in the league, and it's been an issue for me since his rookie year, is that he's not good at setting other people up. Yeah. Sexton is about Sexton. Can he play defense? Yes, because all that is heart, and he has that. But
he has the heart.
They have to find a way. Do you slide Evan Mobley to the 3?
Because
he can play.
That's the thought with Evan Mobley.
He can play Evan
Mobley. He can be super versatile.
So, and then you have Laurie, who's versatile. So Evan's probably going to have to play that 3 to start out, at least this season, because that's the only way. I mean, but then again, we already mentioned Usman and, Cleveland's Cleveland. I'm not expecting too much from them, but I am expecting a big trade. I think the trade was already, before the Larry Marketing deal went through, the trade was already discussed. So,
like I said, I like this team. I like this team's direction so far.
Yeah.
I think they're going in a good direction, but I'm about done with them.
I like their coaching hire. I forgot his name real quick, but I like this is another.
They're going in better direction.
This is another division where there isn't any real bad coaching. You got Dwayne Casey in Detroit. You got Carlisle in Indiana. You got maybe. Yeah, and then we'll get there. But I mean, there's not much that you can say. I see them because here's the question: if they get the number 1 pick, who are you gonna draft?
You're not drafting Chet.
You're not drafting Imani.
You're not drafting Imani. Unless you think Imani can play shooting guard. And then if that's the case, then maybe you're like, then that's the case, you're maybe like, oh, he can slide right on in.
If you play Imani at shooting guard, you still have a problem because you still have Colin Sexton and you have Darius Garland.
But that's if Colin Sexton is
shipped out and you have a Coro that you're 2.
Listen, if they're in that position, they're gonna probably go with Imani Bates. But I don't think Imani Bates is any better. But it's okay. I'm about done with Cleveland.
I'm done with Cleveland, and you know, I don't have Imani Bates playing the 2 of the 3 in the league.
I know. We talked about this.
We'll talk about that some other day. Let's focus on. Let's go Indiana. Nah, forget that. Okay. Yeah. Let's go Indiana. Go Indiana. So Indiana is a team that bit themselves in the butt right before the season. After the bubble, they fired after giving him reading up his contract.
Yeah, man.
They fired Nate McMillan because they didn't get out the first round when arguably his best player was hurt. The guy you hired to replace him, you fire him after the season because they failed to get out of the first round. But with all that being said,
the best player also hurt again?
The guy who showed up, the best player in the bubble, was hurt last year. Warren was hurt.
But like,
they made a trade. And then they made a trade. Sabonis played great. Sabonis was an all-star, right? Miles Turner was hurt.
So another Magic draft pick.
Their best defender was hurt, and Miles Turner. Yeah. And he was honestly, he averaged like 4 or 5 blocks a game around that time, and he was on pace of being Defensive Player of the Year.
Easily.
Because and he was doing it. Now a lot of people's like, well, his rebound numbers are low. I said it doesn't matter because Sabonis is averaging 13 rebounds a game. They're getting rebounds. Guards. He's playing it.
You have your guards rebound very well.
And when you're
protecting
the paint, and
you're doing the block.
You're going.
Someone else is grabbing it.
You're altering the block. Like he's blocking. He got his hands on at least four shots a game, right? But what about the games, the shots that he alters, right? We don't keep stats for alter shots. So I love their guards. I love Brogdon. I'm a TJ McConnell guy. Philly, I told you this.
Me too.
I said Philly needed to resign Brogdon, and the Bucks are going to regret letting Brogdon go. Fortunately, Bucks proved me wrong, and that's a whole nother conversation for another day, but they did upgrade that position. So, and then you got LeVert. If LeVert can stay healthy, Brogdon could stay healthy, Sabonis could play healthy. Now you're looking at this division getting possibly a third playoff team.
To me, this is the second playoff team.
I have them at number 3.
I'm not mad at that either, just because if there is one injury, everything's screwed up.
But with Rick Carlisle being the coach, I think that changes because they still have Ty Warren, I believe. Rick Carlisle, to me, is a good coach when you're talking preparing those other guys. This is the same dude that when they didn't have their star players, they just found guys to fill in. Max Keebler, right, in Dallas. So, I don't see, he's familiar with Indiana, but is Indiana going to be patient with him like Dallas was? Because remember, he got fired from Indiana before and ended up in Dallas. So will Indiana do right by him? If Indiana thinks that they're a championship team and that they can continuously fire coaches, then to me, they need to get rid of their front office. And that's all I got to say about Indiana. I don't really want to say much about them.
I'm right there with you. So sorry, man.
You good? Indiana got you choking up, man. Indiana got you.
Yeah, man, they got me choking up, man.
Got you looking like Spike Lee. I mentioned Indiana, and you just...
Yeah, I cannot. Yeah. I have nothing further to say about Indiana. We'll see what happens, especially with the new coaching change. Everything's going to change. I think this team they were overdue for a new system anyways. So it's me nice to see because they have a lot of smart players. So it's me nice to see what system Carlisle really wants to implement because clearly in Dallas, Carlisle couldn't do what he wanted. So it's gonna be nice to see. So yeah.
Give me 1 second, because so Indiana's just, they have pieces, but
Yeah.
with the improvements around the East, I think it's gonna be tough for them to go to the playoffs. They might be in the playoff game, but I don't see them. I mean, Sabonis, is Carlisle going to use Sabonis like he's used KP?
Maybe, possibly. I think that this team is either gonna be a 7th seed
Mhm.
or they're gonna be a borderline, oh my gosh, we need to make the playoff tournament. Like we need to make we're gonna be a play-in team. And now if they're a play-in team, that could be a scary matchup if they actually make the play-in tournament.
Yes.
And now they have to face that, that's gonna be a tough series with them. But
if
they'll be all
healthy,
right.
yeah, it's gonna be a long season for a lot of people.
If they're a playing team, that's a tough playing team.
If they're healthy, they're 3 teams in. If they're healthy.
Yeah.
So let's transition to the champs. Let's talk champs. We could save them for last, but why? Right?
But
why?
They
are who they are. To me, biggess loss is PJ Tucker.
Oh, 1000%. They had a couple additions, but that PJ Tucker loss is tough.
PJ allowed them to play small. He was versatile defensively. Yeah, when you looked at the Atlanta series, they put Trey on PJ Tucker, right? When you look at the Sun series, they put Chris Paul on PJ Tucker. What PJ Tucker had given them, I feel like you can't make up with just anybody. You need a guy that can star as a role player
and start in their role.
Yeah, to be a star role player. Like they need that. They've gotten rid of almost every guy that they drafted since Giannis,
besides DiVincenzo and Pat Connaughton.
DiVincenzo's trade was voided.
Okay.
Because he was in the Boban trade that we mentioned earlier.
Okay.
When we were talking to Southwest, when we were talking about Atlanta. So understanding that, DiVincenzo's still on the block. They won a championship without him.
I'm looking at the roster from who they had last year. It's like, you lost one of your shooters. You just let him go.
I know choice.
But instead, we bring in Rodney Hood and Grayson Allen.
I love Rodney Hood, the Rodney Hood edition. I love the Duke edition, unfortunately. Like,
listen, it's going to be good additions because they're going to be smart. But they can buy into the team.
But Grayson makes DiVincenzo, because you have Pat,
expendable now.
Pat's my dude. Pat Connaughton's my guy. I remember how he came up. I know his story, like in Mass. Okay. Like I remember watching him in Mass as a junior going into a senior year, where all he had was a baseball scholarship.
Yeah.
They said he's a Division II player at best.
He's an NBA.
And he ran through all the New England AAU teams in the tournaments, and they all have future pros on them. So, he goes to Notre Dame. Like, he was one of those guys, like when he was in Portland, I was like, Portland should have never got rid of him.
Yeah.
But to me, you need a guy like Pat, but does he step up? Pat can't play the PJ Tucker role. He can't. Unfortunately, like that's just not him. He can't play that role. So
the next many players that can play that PJ Tucker role.
So who you have Bobby Portis, but Bobby Portis ain't PJ Tucker.
He's not PJ Tucker, not even by a stretch. I think the difference maker on this team is, does Giannis space the floor?
What does he add to his game?
What does he? That's what I'm trying to
say. I'm asking you, like, what does Giannis need to add to his game for the Bucks to be a champion, to go to the championship?
Well, I mean, most of the time he's leading the break, so he wouldn't have a trail three. It would be spacing out the floor with the jump shots, consistently hitting down, whether it be a pull up, consistently hitting down. I wouldn't even necessarily say three, but just spacing it out, not just being such like a head to the ground, I'm going to the paint type player.
You know what I would love to see from him
What?
this year? A consistent 15 to 17 foot, 15 to 18 footer.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like if he can actually spread the floor out a little bit, that's the difference with the Bucks. That's them winning another championship 2 years in a row. That's him becoming now what a three-peat, not three-peat, but would it be a two-time or
Three-time. It'd be
three-time
a
MVP?
three-time
You know what
MVP.
I'm saying? Like he's a solid player. Everyone likes him. Why? Because he goes hard. He's been getting better every single season.
I think I don't see them coming back to the championship, right? I almost don't see them coming out of the East. They won the championship with Holiday and Middleton. Most games, not Middleton. I love Middleton. I like his game, but Holiday basically performing like Eric Bledsoe. So
Yeah,
now,
he
so now it got me thinking, like, was the problem Eric Bledsoe?
well, if you see Eric Bledsoe's performance in the preseason, it definitely is Eric Bledsoe.
No, but I'm okay. But think about it. If Aaron Holiday and Bledsoe have the same stat line, and I take their faces away in the same system, is it the system or is it the player?
System.
So now, for me, as an observer, I know, hey, all I need is to get such and such. I need to offset, and that's what Miami did, right? That's what Miami did when they beat the Bucks. They just offset their issues. So
it is.
They need, and it's nothing against Holiday because you're asking him to pour his heart out on defense, and on the back end, you're asking him to score and facilitate on the offensive end. A healthy DiVincenzo does save that because he can play defense.
Yeah.
You have Grayson Allen. Grayson hasn't really logged many minutes in the league, but Grayson Allen, he's always been, yeah. He did great in the play, not the playoffs, with the playing game. The last 2 weeks with Memphis last year, he really did good. And then you add Rodney Hood. If Rodney Hood can stay healthy, imagine a fast break where Rodney Hood and Middleton are streaking opposite.
I mean, it's gonna be tough. I think there's still gonna be another good team. They're gonna be another playoff team.
They're top.
And depending on who they're facing at the 8th or 7th seed, they're gonna be a good team. I think difference is gonna be Giannis extending his game, and not even extending to the 3-point line, just extending it to free throw line extended.
Adding another wrinkle, but also lowering his minutes throughout the season.
Yeah, he plays a lot of minutes, so that would be another thing. If they can get that in.
Him, Holiday, and Middleton, they need to find a way to get them around 32, 33
And Lopez.
minutes.
Don't forget Lopez. Lopez plays a lot of minutes too.
Yeah, but they have they got Bobby Portis.
Yeah.
So they chose to pay Bobby Portis. So I don't think their bench is as strong.
No.
And I think that's going to hurt them if a team has a real solid, cohesive bench. Other than that, Budenholzer to me was so close to getting fired. So I'm happy he got his championship. That's good for him.
They operate like a college team. We're going to have the similar players come in. We're running the similar offense. This is our defensive scheme. Teams got to figure us out. We don't have to change too much.
They got to figure out. They got to figure out what they're going to do because like all of their young guys are gone. Yeah, you can bring in a few, and with the way the league has been, the way the drafts have been, you could at least capitalize in the drafts, and they haven't. So who's going to be that next guy? But I don't really have much else to say about them.
No.
This
is where it gets fun.
They're meats and potatoes.
Not really.
They're meats and potatoes. Let's talk about that team, that next team, that team that I think I think they're a really, really good team. I know you
From what I've seen
raised.
in preseason, they're going to be tough team to guard.
And speaking about guards, so let's start with their guards because we're going to talk about the Chicago Bulls naturally. It's the last team that's left in the Central Division before we wrap it up. So speaking about guards, they have a plethora of guards. They drafted a guard from Chicago, so he's a homer. 2 years prior, you drafted Kobe White from North Carolina, who to me is, he has his times where he's been playing really good. And, he's not
I
a
think most of
Donovan
that
guy.
happens go to coaching. I think that
Yes.
that goes to coaching.
And he's not a Donovan guy.
Mm-mm.
Okay. Then you have Zach. Zach says, listen, either trade me or put some pieces around. And they made a huge trade. Pieces. They made a huge trade last year at the trade deadline. And I told you this. I said, Chicago kind of robbed Orlando because I'm like, if I was going to trade for anybody,
yes,
I would have at least taken Laurie in one of their, in the pick.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying?
I said that. I said for Vucevic, who is
he's a two-time All-Star. He's a two-time All-Star.
And he's in this league, he's a top 5 big man center in this league.
I'm not going to argue that only because he's been a double-digit points rebound guy since his whole career, and to do that, it's not an easy task, right? So I'm not gonna overlook him for that. But like I said, Chicago robbed him, and I told you that during the trade. I said, listen, Orlando could have got way more for him. He's under contract.
We got more for Gordon.
Yes. And I'm like, yo, he's under contract. Y'all could do so much, especially with a team like the Bulls, one who have cap space. Yeah. They had the space. So either way, they started by robbing Orlando. They had a really, really, really good rookie last year in Pat Williams, who nobody's really talking about, who's so versatile. He can guard 4 to 5 positions.
He did very, very well.
And his offense has gotten better. So now it's like, all right, well, you have these 3 guys. You're still not sure about Laurie. So you put him against the market. And that's where Laurie, nobody was really looking at the free agent market. They weren't looking at available money. Well, these players that want money, they weren't looking at available money.
Yeah.
They go ahead and they get DeMar DeRozan, basically stealing him from AKA either the Lakers or he was going to Miami. Either way, they offered him the money to be a vet and to score, which, hey, we know you're one of the best mid-range scorers in the league, hands down. Zach LaVine was, I've been a Zach guy since he was at UCLA. I wanted the Lakers to draft him. Unfortunately, he got drafted before the Lakers. I wanted the Lakers to sign him. He gets traded to the Bulls for Jimmy Butler. I told you I was pissed he got traded from Minnesota because I'm like, Minnesota, you're stupid for trading him. You have a young core that you can build around,
Yeah.
So, and then you bring in, and it's who they brought in. And you're like, well, they got a lot of guards. They don't play D. Look, you got Zach LaVine who could put the ball in the basket. And now before, Zach had to create for himself as a point guard. Now it's, hey, I have, now. Yeah. And now you have the top 5 passing point guard, passer. You have a top 5 passer on the team.
Yeah. I think that right there. Yeah, you add DeRozan. Yeah, you have a full year now of Vooch, right?
Yeah.
You still have Zach LaVine, who is not only is he an all-star, he's now a gold medalist. So he has that underneath his belt too. But now you bring in a true point guard who, over the course of his career, has become a much better shooter, the ball and off the dribble shooter,
and not just one.
Who else? You talking about Caruso? And I was going to get there. So I'm just talking about Lonzo right now, right? So you bring in Lonzo. Lonzo's going to make – this is going to be the best point guard that Vucevic has ever played with. This is now – some people might not agree with me. This might be the best point guard that DeRozan's ever played with. And he played with Lowry.
Hands down. No, hands down.
You know what I'm saying? So
Hands
this
down.
is going to be very interesting. Now, when you look at the height, when you look at how tall this entire team is, this is going to be one of the biggest teams that teams are going to be facing against.
Zoe and Zach.
Height wise.
ZZ is 6'5", both of them.
You have DeMar.
6'5".
6'5", 6'6". You have Patrick Williams. He's up there too.
He's 6'8".
And now you have Vucevic. Don't you have Vucevic who's
7
standing at
feet.
7'1". 7
So
feet, 7'1".
the thing is, so this is what I like about
then you
them.
got Caruso coming off the bench for right now.
And Derrick Jones Jr.
I have Derrick Jones on there. Yeah.
No, but I'm saying, like, you look at, just think flight. Just think flight alone and getting up. Jones is good. Jones is a good defender. I watched Jones kind of put clamps on LeBron last year for Portland. I was like, unfortunately he got hurt, right? So you look at that, that's a great pickup. The Bulls did good. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm like, yo, they're the second playoff team, because when the game slows down and come playoffs, good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck.
You're right. Good luck. So this thing, right? They have players now. They put players around Zach LaVine. Mm-hmm. What defensive scheme is Billy Donovan putting in? That's me the biggest question, right? Because I watched years of Vooch. He tries his hardest. He tries. Like, he doesn't. It's not like he's out there not doing anything. He's trying. But some of the schemes that he was under with 4 different coaches just never made sense.
You're not gonna like this.
What you think?
You're not gonna like this.
Okay, come on. Hit me.
So remember when he was with the Gators?
Yeah.
Who was his starting 5?
I mean, you had Noah. You had
Al
had
Horford.
Mr. Al Horford.
Mm-hmm.
You had Nick Calathis.
Nope, Nick wasn't there.
Nick wasn't there with him?
Nope. Nick Calathis and them,
was a couple years after.
They came the year after they graduated.
Yeah, Corey Brewer.
Yep, he was the 3.
Oh.
Torian Green.
There you go.
And then they had one more person as a point. That was another guard. But either way, the reason why I said this is Billy Donovan's success in the NBA came with the Thunder when he had 3 guards. Mm-hmm. Right?
He has it. They
weren't like, oh, they're best, great. That team wasn't great defensively per se. What they had was a solid big that understood, and they protected that big.
What is Vooch?
He's a solid big that understands,
that knows his role and understands his role.
Vooch being a rebounder, right? He's playing more of that Al Horford role offensively. He's going to get his offensively. All he has to do is maintain his man. You have Pat Williams, who, for me, I have him starting. I still can't believe this Bulls team had Daniel Gafford on it and didn't play him. So, like, but you have a guy like
what
Pat
a deep
Williams.
Cut, dude. You're the only person I know who's going to talk about that.
No, but it's something to think about. Like, you look at a guy like Pat Williams. Pat Williams is versatile defensively, right? So with Pat Williams being versatile defensively, the matchups is based on that. Now you have Zoe, who's a really good defender.
And Zoe plays defense.
And can guard.
That's gonna be a game changer.
He can guard 1 through 3. DeRozan isn't a bad defender. He's a
not
solid.
When he wants to be.
He's a solid team defender. You have to understand who is his coach in Toronto for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
Dwayne Casey.
Now, who? Yeah. So the one thing I just looked at, right? I'm looking at the roster. And this might be the best pairing for DeMar DeRozan.
Ever.
Only because of this, right? Yeah, you have a true point guard. You have another scorer in Zach LaVine. Vooch is one of the only big men in the league outside of maybe Karl Anthony Towns that will be guarded at the 3-point line every time down the court. Vooch led all big men in 3-point percentage.
There's like
last 2 years.
There's like 10 bigs that the league is guarding at the 3-point line.
No.
There's more than 10. There's more than 10. I'm telling you right now, there's more than 10.
Listen,
but
they're getting there.
I get what you're saying.
The best shooting center in the NBA as your starting center, when he sets a screen, because God forbid he was setting good screens, the Magic just sucked.
The Magic.
I don't want to talk about. They're rolling. They're staying with DeMar. They're staying with LaVine. They're staying with Lonzo to the paint. But now when you have Vooch out there picking and popping, dude, that just changes some things. I was just looking at that. Like, Okay, DeMar will be able to get some shots because Lonzo's going to create, but you have Vooch, who's going to be trailing. So now the big is going to have to also keep the eye on Vooch because he's taking 3-4 threes a game and he's hitting
He's not.
damn near 50%.
There's gonna be times that Vooch isn't getting to half court. We got to be honest. There's
Oh, yeah.
times where he's not. So I'm just looking defensively. Caruso's a good defender. He's gonna
Yeah.
dig in. Caruso and so between Caruso, Jones, and Pat Williams, like I feel like defensively they're gonna disrupt, right? You don't need to hit all 40, 42 minutes. Like you don't need to hit like that. You just need to 48 minutes. You're not gonna hit all 48 minutes, but you need to hit in increments defensively, right? You're a great offense is always going to beat great defense. I don't care what anybody
Yeah.
says. Yes,
Oh, 100%.
yes, defense wins championships, but great offense can sustain great defense for 24 seconds because great offense is going to get that offensive rebound. They're going to kick it back out. They're going to wear you down and keep wearing you down. And now you don't have no legs on defense. I mean, on offense. So looking at this Chicago team, looking at Billy Donovan, who is a Providence College alum, he's on that Rick Pitino, he's on that Rick Pitino tree. Yes, defense is a staple, but their offense is he's gonna get up and go.
And if you're guarding a team that is punching down your throat every time in the half court offensively, it's gonna tire you out when it's your time on offense. This team right here, it's gonna be nice to see. They're gonna be fun to watch.
And what matters is the last 3 to 5 minutes of the game.
Mm-hmm.
How are you guarding? How are you guarding them? No, I'm asking you. Take a team. How are you guarding this team? Who is the first person?
Between Levine, DeMar, and Vooch. I mean, that's 3 minutes. And any three of those players can have the ball.
And Zoe, his 3-point shooting, you have to guard it.
It's gotten better. It's gotten better every year.
And you know what he showed? That he can take it a step further back. So now that if Zoe, and I'm saying this right now, if Zoe makes it as a 4-level shooter, it is over.
Yeah, this is now you're talking about the Chicago Bulls possibly being the top 3 team in the East.
Easily. So I look at this. This is going to be the first time in Zoe's career that he's handed the point guard keys.
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
I'm a Zoe guy. Fun. I love the Ball brothers. So
hey man, we just need that one more Ball brother up in the league, man, and that's it.
It's tough.
We ain't talking about that right now.
It's tough. Yeah, that's another comment. I really like Jello. I just don't know or see where we can fit him in. But like I said, with the Bulls, and we have that issue with Kobe White. What are you gonna do? We know he's a microwave. This is another offensive threat that you have. He's in year 3. This is make or break year for him.
This is gonna be good for him though. This is gonna be good for him because depending on foul situations, depending on what is ever going on, teams are now gonna be worried about DeMar. They're gonna be this is gonna be a good situation for him. Honestly,
he can play with Caruso, he can play with Zoe, and he can play with Levine. They can play Zoe, Levine, Kobe White, where Kobe White is a scoring option, and he's not a point guard.
I like this team. This might be a new league pass team.
Let me ask you a question. As an Orlando Magic fan, if Kobe White was available, would you take him?
With all the guards we have now?
You're going to have to saying that you're getting rid of one of them.
If this was 2 years ago, yes. We got to get White. I like Kobe White. I wouldn't have been mad if the Magic drafted Kobe White. Like I wouldn't have been at all. Honestly, if they, I like Kobe.
I don't see him in the Bulls' plans, unfortunately. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's part of that Laurie Marketing trade down the line. That ends up being like a 3-team trade or whatever. Which Sacramento. We'll talk about that some other time. So let's do this. Who do you see as the MVP in this division?
MVP in this division. MVP in this division. MVP in this division. I'm looking real quick. I'm not gonna say Giannis. Mm-hmm. I'm not gonna say Giannis. Only because I do think Giannis will probably be MVP of the league again, possibly. Mm-hmm. If the people who vote for MVP actually played basketball, they probably would.
Or watch it, but that's another conversation.
I'm actually gonna go it's between 2 players. Well, it would be between 3 if I said Giannis. Okay. It's gonna be between Levine and someone off the Pacers that the Pacers do well. but I'm gonna go with Levine. I'm gonna stick with Levine.
Okay. Um,
This team's gonna be formed around him, not formed around him, but this is gonna be he's not gonna have to work as hard, so he's gonna look way more efficient.
this is the second time he's played with a real point guard in his career because he's played with Ricky Rubio. But this is the first time where he's the feature. So, well, with everything around him, like he was getting 50 when he wanted to. He was sleeping through the first half, or not sleeping, but I watched him in a game last year where he set everybody up in the first half and then went bonkers in the fourth quarter. So, and now that he doesn't have to set the table most nights, he's not going to have to set the table. Once again, I'm asking, who's guarding who? Are you putting your best defender on Zoe, or are you putting your best defender on Levine? And then
or DeMar.
You have to make that decision. I'm not putting my best defender on DeMar, unfortunately. Like, if I'm looking
DeMar
at it,
DeMar can go off for 30 when he wants to.
DeMar can go off, but who's more dangerous? Zoe, Zach, or DeMar? So in that order, your best defender is either guarding the ball initial, or you're guarding that first option. Which now we talk role players. Can DeMar be the superstar role player? This is the less pressure, the least amount of pressure that he's had to have as a starter in the league since he was a rookie when he came in and Chris Bosh was the man. So I look at that and I'm like, that third option is going to be a problem, because now, like, you can alternate depending on coaching. You can alternate their minutes. And
who would you choose
for MVP? Mm-hmm. If everything goes right, I don't feel Giannis is going to be the MVP of the league, because I see his minutes going down. He had a very serious knee injury in the playoffs, and nobody's talking about that. Nobody even knows what it is. For this division, if Indiana makes the playoffs, it has to be LeVert. Has to be that man between LeVert and Sabonis. I'm gonna go with Chris Middleton or Zach LaVine. It's gonna come down to those two guys. I feel like
Chris Middleton was my number two. Chris Middleton was my number two. I'm looking at Pacers. I'm like, I can't choose them on Pacers, even though I said it's probably someone on the Pacers. Middleton. If it wasn't for Middleton in the playoffs, during some of those series.
What's interesting, and I think we need to talk about when we talk about the Pacers, is that Rick Carlisle did coach the Pacers team for the Malice in the Palace. When you realize how nasty that team was and how his subbing and how he handled everybody before the suspension, I'm not saying this team is that good.
But you have a coach that's that good.
But if he can coach this team with the talent that they have, because we didn't even mention Miles Turner like that.
No, we didn't.
But I think he could make them be special if they see it and they can avoid injuries. But I'm definitely gonna go with Chris Middleton or Levine. Who do you got as coach of the year in this division?
I want to say Carlisle, because clearly the last two seasons he didn't look happy in Dallas. He didn't look happy at all. I think he's going to get right back to coaching. We know why. He didn't look happy at all at Dallas. He was just sitting there and just calling timeouts and doing substitutions, and that's it. I think he's actually going to put his coaching hat back on, almost as like an FU, not to Dallas, but to that boy over there, to Luka. So I think he's going to be coaching his little butt off. So I'm going to say Carlisle, and that's why I say there's going to be two teams, I guess now three, because you taught me in Chicago. Yeah, you taught me in Chicago. Me in Chicago.
Listen, this is the deepest the league has been. This is the deepest the East has been in so long. Like, the records might show parity, but it's like it's legit talent. Coaching is great all around the board.
It's going to come down to coaching a lot.
So if I had to pick coach of the year, I'm Donovan. In order for the Bulls have the potential to be anywhere between the number 2 and number 8.
Oh, or even 9. Because if Donovan doesn't handle some of these, if Donovan doesn't handle, some of these things properly,
Talent alone, even if he has bad coaching experience
they
with
should be
them,
top 18.
5.
Yeah.
They could be a 5 team depending on where everybody starts. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at it like talent alone is going to get you wins. So 5, if they're top 3, Donovan, because in order for them to be top 3, they have to pass Milwaukee. And I think Milwaukee's still going to be championship drunk a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So who do you got? Rookie of the year because we're going to get ready to head out. Rookie of the year, most improved player.
I can't choose rookie of the year because honestly, I really don't know some of the other rookies the other teams have drafted other than Cade. Like I said earlier, this isn't a division. This isn't a division. Yeah, but this isn't a division I truly focus in on.
Mm-hmm.
If I had to say one, is going to be Cade because he's going to get the playing time.
Mm-hmm.
Killian Hayes tends to always be hurt, so Cade should have the ball in his hands a lot, right? Now, most improved.
How do you say he tends to always get hurt? He only had one season.
He's been hurt a very long time. Okay, like if we go off of that, he might be injury prone. Most improved. I'm either going to go with Garland or Lonzo.
All right. So you're going with Cade for rookie.
I'm going to go Cade for rookie.
You have no
choice.
Most
improved, I'm going to go with Garland or Lonzo. And Lonzo because this will be the first time that he has the keys. He's driving the car. We're going to see who Lonzo is and his style of play on a team that is, even though the Chicago Bulls are made for LaVine, this team has everything that Lonzo needs to be a very, very productive point guard in the league. And then I say Garland only because that Sexton trade is probably going to happen. He's going to have the keys to that car too. So those are my picks. How about yourself? Rookie, most improved.
I'm going to go with Cade for rookie of the year simply because Detroit is in a great position where Cade could play 1 or 2.
Yep.
Right. Which means you can play him and Killian together. When I watched him play in the summer league, he's not a rushed guy.
Plays at his speed.
But he can play defense.
Yep.
And he's going I haven't seen him rushed, and I feel like that's usually a problem with players when they first get in the league is speed. But if a player can play in their own comfort, then it's a different type of, like Luka. That was one of your questions earlier when he was a rookie year. You're like, is he really the real deal? I was like, yeah, he is. Oh, but he's slow. I said, nope, he's still gonna get it. Right. So Cade is still gonna get his. That's all right. We're wrong about players all the time. Well, not all the time. Sometimes. Most times. We hit on a lot of players. Like we hit on Giannis, right? So I feel like, do I think Cade is a superstar? Not really. Not at this moment.
I don't know.
I feel Jalen Green is the best player or best rookie in the class, but that's me personal. I don't see Evan playing because it's going to come down to them two. And then you have Duarte, who could possibly get minutes under Carlisle because he has a gun.
I forget about him.
He can shoot, and he's older. He's 24, 25 or whatever. But he fits in perfectly with Indiana. He fits in perfectly with Rick Carlisle. Unfortunately, his minutes are going to be tied to Charis LeVert and Brogdon and McConnell. So
this is one of the more boringer conferences in the league. I mean, divisions in the league. Yes. But I mean, you have good players on all these teams. It goes deep league. The league's getting better.
Most improved. Side note, I think Luke is going to shock. Luka Graza. I don't want to call him Luka Graza. Like we watching The Sopranos, or we're watching.
Who's he with?
He's with Detroit.
Okay.
They drafted him, and that's why I'm saying, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the minutes but he's not getting rookie of the year over Cade in Detroit. Most improved player, I want to go with Zoe.
Yeah.
I want to go with Zoe.
It's the first time he's gonna have the keys.
But the guy nobody's talking about in Chicago is Pat Williams.
Oh, he's still young, man. He's still young.
Yes, but
Yeah, he can
but
win
he's
most
going
improved.
to benefit. I'm saying because a lot of times most improved is about who benefits the most off of their situation, right? Because I would love to give it to Garland, but that Sexton trade would happen in February,
You're right. I mean,
you
Patrick
know?
Williams is the fifth option on this team, but that means that his production is going to go up because the game planning is going to be around
He's going to get
three,
the
if
weaker
not four of those.
defender.
Yeah,
He's going
yeah,
to get the
yeah.
weaker defender. He's going to have more opportunity. Not saying that Zoe's not going to go off because Zoe with the keys in his hand, I feel like everybody's going to eat. I just feel like the person who's going to benefit most on that, kind of like when Jaren Grant was in Denver.
Yeah.
You know, how he
Yeah.
ate off of everybody. So, you know, I would love to give it to Zoe. I would love to give it to Zoe, but we know an
I'm
all-star
cool
year
with
is
both of
coming.
those now.
We know an all-star year is coming for him.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm cool with both of those. I said Zoe myself, so I'm cool with both.
All right. Well, let's wrap this up because, like I said, this is our most uneventful division. We'll be back speaking more basketball with BOXN1. I'm Ralph Wright, and I'm here with my host, Elise. Y'all know what to do. Y'all hear it on every other YouTube video, so I shouldn't have to repeat it. Like, subscribe, leave a comment, share, come back. Let us know what you need, what you like, what you dislike, who you running with for the season, who's your team out of the Central. No bandwagoners allowed. That's probably what we need to name the show next time. No bandwagoners allowed. But until next time, y'all continue to walk in your greatness.
Be easy.
The hard way.